In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where civilizations rose and fell like the twinkling of distant stars, the Galactic Council stood as a beacon of power and influence. This alliance of the most technologically advanced alien races had long since conquered the challenges of interstellar travel and harnessed the boundless energies of the universe. They saw themselves as the rightful custodians of the galaxy, tasked with maintaining order and shaping the destiny of all sentient beings. However, there was one species that had thus far eluded the Galactic Council's dominion: the humans, a young and seemingly primitive race from the backwater planet of Earth. The Council members, with their superior intellects and exotic physiology, could not fathom how these fragile bipeds had managed to venture beyond their home system and establish a fledgling presence in the cosmos. Their technology is crude, their ships are slow, and their weapons are laughable, scoffed Psyloth, the Tyrantian representative on the council. They are not worthy of our attention. We should focus our efforts on more pressing matters. The other council members murmured in agreement, their holograms flickering with disdain as they contemplated the humans' existence. After all, the Galactic Council had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, each one ultimately falling under the sway of the greater powers that rule the stars. But the humans were a persistent, if peculiar, species. They continued to push the boundaries of their limited capabilities, establishing small outposts and mining colonies across the solar system. Their crude chemical rockets and sluggish fusion drives were a source of endless amusement for the Council, who saw no need to waste precious resources engaging with such an insignificant race. Perhaps we should make a gesture of goodwill and offer them a seat on the Council, suggested Aetherius, the Olverian ambassador. It would be a symbolic gesture, of course, but it may placate them and curtail any unsavory actions they might take in response to our disregard. Xyloth scoffed, his holographic form rippling with disdain. Unsavory actions, the humans. They are no more than children, playing at being explorers and conquerors. They pose no threat to us. If they wish to cling to their primitive ways, then let them. We have more important matters to attend to. The other council members nodded in agreement, their expressions ranging from amusement to indifference. The fate of the human race was of little consequence to these galactic titans, who had seen countless civilizations rise and fall over the eons. In their eyes, the humans were merely the latest in a long line of upstart species, destined to be relegated to the margins of history. Little did the Galactic Council know, however, that a small group of humans, driven by a burning determination to prove their worth, were secretly plotting a course that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. While the Galactic Council continued to ignore the humans, dismissing them as insignificant, a group of determined individuals on Earth were quietly shaping the future of their species. These were the scientists, the engineers, and the military strategists who had grown weary of the Council's arrogance and the perceived injustice of being relegated to the fringes of the galaxy. Chief among them was Dr. Avery Sinclair, a brilliant astrophysicist and the head of the secret Project Hyperion research team. For years, Sinclair and his colleagues had been working tirelessly, pouring their resources and talents into developing cutting-edge technologies that could challenge the dominance of the Galactic Council. "They think we're nothing more than children," Sinclair said, his brow furrowed in determination as he pored over the schematics of their latest prototype. "Well, we'll show them just how capable we are. The humans will no longer be content to sit on the sidelines and watch as the Council dictates the course of the galaxy." Around the conference table, the other members of the Hyperion team nodded in agreement, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of ambition and resolve. They knew that the stakes were high, that the future of their entire civilization hung in the balance. But they were not deterred. Instead, they were driven by a burning desire to prove their worth, to shatter the Council's preconceptions, and to carve out a place for humanity among the stars. In the shadows of their secret laboratory, they tinkered with exotic materials, harnessed the power of quantum mechanics, and pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible. Their work was methodical, painstaking, and often shrouded in secrecy, for they knew that the Galactic Council would not take kindly to their efforts. If the Council catches wind of what we're doing, they'll move to shut us down, Sinclair warned his team. We can't afford to be complacent. We must work quickly and decisively to bring our projects to fruition. The team nodded, their expressions resolute. They understood the risks, but they were willing to take them. For too long, they had watched as the Galactic Council flexed its technological and military might, subjugating countless civilizations and remolding the galaxy in its image. Now, it was the humans' turn to make their mark. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the Hyperion team made steady progress. Their experiments yielded promising results, and they began to piece together the components of a weapons system that could potentially challenge the Council's dominance. But even as they celebrated their small victories, a sense of unease began to creep into their minds. They knew that the Council was not a foe to be trifled with, and that their actions could have far-reaching consequences. Yet they were driven by a determination that refused to be extinguished. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. As the humans' secret project progressed, the rumblings of discontent began to reach the ears of the Galactic Council. Whispers of a bold, new human initiative, one that could potentially challenge the Council's dominance, started to circulate among the member civilizations. The Council elders, who had long dismissed the humans as insignificant, now found themselves forced to confront the possibility that their assumptions might have been gravely mistaken. "This is preposterous," exclaimed Xyloth, the Tyrantian representative, his holographic image shimmering with indignation. "The humans are nothing more than primitives. How dare they attempt to defy the will of the Galactic Council?" The other council members exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions betraying a hint of concern. While they were loath to admit it, the humans' tenacity and resourcefulness had begun to pique their interest and their unease. "We cannot ignore this any longer," said Aetherius, the Olverian ambassador, his voice measured and calm. "We must take action to ensure the stability and security of the galaxy. The humans must be brought back into the fold, or their actions could have dire consequences." The council deliberated for days, weighing their options and debating the best course of action. Some advocated for a diplomatic approach, suggesting that they extend an olive branch to the humans and offer them a seat on the council. Others argued for a more forceful stance, proposing that they dispatch a fleet to the human homeworld and compel their submission. In the end, it was decided that a combination of diplomacy and military pressure would be the most prudent course of action. A delegation, led by the formidable Tyrantian Admiral Jarkan, was dispatched to the human outposts, tasked with delivering an ultimatum. Cease all unauthorized technological development and submit to the authority of the Galactic Council, or face the consequences of their defiance. As the alien ships approached the human colonies, the residents of Earth watched with a mix of trepidation and resolve. They had known that this day would come, and they were prepared to meet the challenge head-on. "They think they can intimidate us, but they have no idea what we're capable of," Dr. Sinclair said, his eyes gleaming with a determined light. "The time has come to show the Galactic Council the true power of the human spirit." The Tyrantian fleet, led by the imposing figure of Admiral Jarkan, descended upon the human colonies, their weapons systems primed and ready. The humans, however, refused to back down, standing firm in the face of the alien onslaught. What happened next would shatter the Galactic Council's preconceptions and forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. As the Tyrantian fleet descended upon the human colonies, a palpable tension filled the air. The residents of Earth watched with a mix of fear and defiance, knowing that the fate of their civilization hung in the balance. At the heart of the human resistance stood Dr. Avery Sinclair and his Hyperion team, their carefully guarded secret project now poised to be unleashed. They had spent years perfecting their technology, driven by a burning desire to shatter the Galactic Council's preconceptions and prove the worth of the human race. "This is it, everyone," Sinclair said, his voice steady and resolute. "The moment we've been waiting for. Let's show the Council what we're made of." With a nod, the Hyperion team sprang into action, activating their revolutionary new weapon systems. The Tyrantian ships, arrayed in a formidable display of force, suddenly found themselves confronted by a barrage of energy pulses and projectiles, unlike anything they had ever encountered. Admiral Jarkin, the Tyrantian commander, watched in stunned disbelief as his fleet's advanced shielding systems struggled to withstand the onslaught. The human weapons, powered by exotic technologies that defied the Council's understanding, carved through the alien vessels with devastating precision. "Impossible," Jarkin growled, his once confident demeanor now tinged with alarm. "How can these primitive beings possess such power?" The Tyrantian ships, reeling from the unexpected attack, began to retreat, their commanders transmitting frantic distress signals to the Galactic Council. The humans, seizing the opportunity, pressed their advantage, launching a series of targeted strikes that crippled the alien vessels and sent them limping back into the depths of space. As the Tyrantian fleet withdrew, the human colonies erupted in cheers and celebrations. The Hyperion team, their faces etched with a mixture of triumph and disbelief, watched as their creation proved its worth on the galactic stage. But the victory was short-lived, for the Galactic Council, stunned by the humans' display of technological prowess, quickly convened an emergency session to address the unfolding crisis. "This cannot be," Xyloth, the Tyrantian representative, exclaimed, his holographic form crackling with barely contained rage. "The humans have somehow developed weapons capable of defeating our most advanced ships. We must put an end to this madness before it spreads." The other council members, their expressions a mix of concern and grudging respect, listened intently as Xyloth outlined his proposed course of action. It was clear that the humans had shattered the council's assumptions, and they could no longer afford to dismiss them as mere primitives. As the heated debate raged on, Dr. Sinclair and his team huddled together, their minds already working to anticipate the council's next move. They knew that their victory had been merely the first step in a much larger struggle, one that would test the limits of human ingenuity and determination. The stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine the power dynamics of the entire galaxy. The shockwaves of the humans' unexpected victory against the Tyrantian fleet reverberated through the Galactic Council chambers, shattering the collective complacency that had long defined the Alliance's attitude towards the primitive human race. Xyloth, the Tyrantian representative, paced the floor, his holographic form flickering with a mixture of anger and trepidation. "This cannot stand," he thundered, slamming his fist against the ornate table that dominated the council chamber. "The humans have made a mockery of our technological superiority. We must take immediate action to restore order and put these upstarts in their place." The other council members exchanged uneasy glances, their own confidence in the council's unassailable position now shaken to the core. Aetherius, the Olverian ambassador, spoke up, his voice calm and measured, but with an underlying current of concern. "We cannot ignore this development, Xyloth. The humans have clearly demonstrated a level of ingenuity and resourcefulness that we have grossly underestimated. If we do not address this threat swiftly and decisively, the consequences could be dire for the entire galactic order." Reluctantly, the council members conceded the point. It was clear that the humans could no longer be dismissed as harmless primitives. Their ascent to power had to be curtailed, lest they upset the delicate balance that the Galactic Council had so carefully maintained for millennia. With a heavy heart, the council members authorized the mobilization of a substantial military force, drawing upon the combined might of the member civilizations. Xyloth, his eyes gleaming with a newfound determination, volunteered to lead the armada, determined to teach the humans a lesson they would never forget. "We will show them the true power of the Galactic Council," he declared, his voice dripping with a menacing edge. "They will learn to fear the consequences of defying our authority." As the Tyrantian fleet, bolstered by the reinforcements from the Council's vast armada, approached the human colonies, a sense of dread and anticipation gripped the residents of Earth. They had known that this day would come, but they were resolved to stand their ground, their faith in the ingenuity and resilience of the human spirit unshaken. Dr. Sinclair and his Hyperion team, having had a taste of victory, were already working tirelessly to refine and improve their revolutionary weapon systems. They knew that the coming battle would be a true test of their abilities, and they were determined to prove that the humans were more than a match for the mighty Galactic Council. As the two forces clashed in a spectacular display of technological might, the very fabric of the galaxy trembled, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The outcome of this conflict would shape the future of the cosmos for generations to come. The vastness of space echoed with the thunderous clash of the Galactic Council's armada and the human defenders. Xyloth, the Xerantian commander, had led his reinforced fleet with an iron fist, determined to crush the defiant humans and restore the Council's dominance. However, the humans, under the guidance of Dr. Avery Sinclair and his Hyperion team, refused to back down. They had spent countless hours refining their advanced weapon systems, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. As the two forces collided, the human ships, agile and heavily armed, darted and weaved through the enemy formations, unleashing a relentless barrage of energy pulses and projectiles. The Xerantian vessels, with their once formidable shields, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer power and precision of the human onslaught. Xyloth, his confidence shaken, barked orders to his subordinates, desperate to regain control of the battle. "Concentrate your fire. Neutralize their weapon systems. We cannot allow these primitives to continue their defiance." But the humans, their determination fueled by the knowledge that the fate of their entire civilization hung in the balance, refused to be cowed. They adapted their tactics, employing advanced electronic warfare capabilities to disrupt the Council's communications and target the weaknesses in their opponent's defenses. As the battle raged on, the Council's armada found itself slowly but surely pushed back, its once imposing fleet gradually whittled down by the relentless human assault. Aetherius, the Ulverian ambassador, watched the events unfold with a mixture of awe and growing concern. "They're holding their own," he murmured, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "The humans are proving to be far more capable than we ever imagined." The other council members, their faces etched with a mix of disbelief and unease, could only nod in reluctant agreement. The tide of the conflict was turning, and the once unassailable council was now being forced to confront the very real possibility of defeat. Back on the front lines, Dr. Sinclair and his team continued to push the limits of their technology, unleashing ever more powerful weapons and tactics that left the Tyrantian forces reeling. Xyloth, his frustration boiling over, ordered his ships to converge on the human colonies, determined to crush the source of this unexpected resistance. But the humans, anticipating such a move, had prepared a bold counteroffensive. As the Tyrantian armada closed in on their homeworld, a series of well-placed strikes on the enemy's supply lines and command centers threw the invaders into disarray. Caught off guard and facing a determined foe, the Galactic Council's forces found themselves in an increasingly precarious position. The once certain victory was slipping through their grasp, and the humans were poised to seize the initiative. The galaxy held its breath, wondering who would emerge victorious from this titanic clash. As the brutal conflict between the Galactic Council's forces and the human defenders raged on, a palpable shift began to take hold in the balance of power across the galaxy. The humans, led by the brilliant Dr. Avery Sinclair and his Hyperion team, had proven to be a far more formidable adversary than the Council had ever imagined. Their advanced weapon systems and innovative tactics had slowly but steadily eroded the once overwhelming advantage of the Council's mighty armada. Xyloth, the Xerantian commander, gritted his teeth in frustration as he watched his fleet's losses mount. "How can this be?" he snarled, his holographic form flickering with barely contained rage. "We hold the superior technology. the greater numbers, and the overwhelming might of the Galactic Council behind us. Yet these humans continue to defy us at every turn. The other council members, their once unwavering confidence now tinged with a growing sense of unease, exchanged uneasy glances. Aetherius, the Olverian ambassador, spoke up, his voice measured and thoughtful. It would seem that we have gravely underestimated the ingenuity and determination of the human race. Their ability to adapt and innovate on the battlefield is truly remarkable. If we do not find a way to turn the tide of this conflict, we may very well face the unthinkable, defeat at the hands of these primitives. The admission, coming from the usually calm and collected Aetherius, sent a shockwave through the council chambers. For the first time in their collective memory, the mighty Galactic Council was facing the prospect of a loss that could shatter the very foundations of their power and influence. Tensions within the council began to rise as the member civilizations jockeyed for position, each vying to protect their own interests and wield greater influence over the outcome of the war. Some advocated for a more aggressive, uncompromising approach, while others argued for a strategic withdrawal and a revaluation of their tactics. As the discord within the council grew, the human forces continued their relentless assault, chipping away at the invaders' defenses and gradually gaining the upper hand. Dr. Sinclair and his team, buoyed by their recent successes, worked tirelessly to develop even more advanced weapon systems and countermeasures, determined to tip the scales of the conflict in humanity's favor. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the Galactic Council found itself facing a choice: adapt and evolve, or risk being swept aside by the unstoppable force of human ingenuity and determination. As the battle between the Galactic Council's forces and the human defenders raged on, the once mighty alliance found itself teetering on the brink of collapse. The relentless onslaught of the humans' advanced weaponry had taken a heavy toll, shattering the Council's aura of invincibility. Xylov, the Tyrantian commander, paced the bridge of his flagship, his once confident demeanor now tinged with a growing sense of desperation. "This cannot be happening," he growled, his fists clenched in frustration. "We are the Galactic Council, the supreme power in the cosmos. How can these humans continue to defy us?" The other council members, their once unified front now fractured, exchanged uneasy glances as they watched the conflict unfold. Aetherius, the Olverian ambassador, spoke up, his voice tinged with a newfound sense of urgency. "We must reconsider our strategy, Xylov. The humans have proven themselves to be a far more formidable adversary than we ever imagined. If we continue down this path, we risk not only defeat, but the very dissolution of the Galactic Council itself." Xylov's eyes narrowed, his expression hardening. Dissolution? Impossible. The Council has stood for millennia, a beacon of order and stability in the galaxy. We will not surrender to these upstarts, no matter the cost. The other council members shifted uncomfortably, their own doubts and fears beginning to surface. The once unassailable alliance was now rife with internal discord, as member civilizations jockeyed for position and sought to protect their own interests. As the human forces continued their relentless assault, the cracks within the Galactic Council widened. Alliances crumbled, accusations flew, and the very foundations of the Council's power began to crumble. Dr. Sinclair and his Hyperion team, watching the events unfold from their command center on Earth, could scarcely believe the turn of events. They had dared to dream of this moment, but the reality of the Council's disintegration was beyond their wildest expectations. "They're tearing themselves apart," Sinclair marveled, a hint of awe in his voice. "All those years of arrogance and complacency, and now they're facing the consequences of their own hubris." The humans, seizing the opportunity, launched a series of decisive strikes, targeting the Council's remaining strongholds and supply lines. With their unity shattered and their forces stretched thin, the once mighty Galactic Council found itself unable to mount an effective counteroffensive. As the battle raged on, it became increasingly clear that the balance of power in the galaxy was shifting. The humans, once dismissed as insignificant, had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, and the Galactic Council's grip on the cosmos was rapidly slipping away. The stage was set for a final, climactic confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy and the future of humanity. As the Galactic Council's once formidable forces crumbled under the relentless onslaught of the human defenders, a palpable sense of change gripped the cosmos. The balance of power, long dominated by the arrogant alliance, was shifting, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Dr. Avery Sinclair, the architect of the human resistance, watched the unfolding events with a mix of triumph and contemplation. The Hyperion team's innovations and unwavering determination had proven to be the decisive factors in this titanic clash, shattering the Galactic Council's assumptions and exposing its vulnerabilities. "We've done it," Sinclair said, his voice tinged with a mixture of relief and pride. "The humans have proven our worth to the galaxy. Now, the real work begins." Indeed, as the Council's final strongholds fell, the human forces found themselves faced with a new challenge: how to navigate the power vacuum left in the wake of the Council's collapse. The once dominant alliance had ruled the cosmos for millennia, and its absence left a void that threatened to plunge the galaxy into chaos. Xylov, the Terrantian commander, his once proud demeanor now broken, stood before the remnants of the Council, his expression a mix of resignation and defiance. "You humans may have won this battle, but the galaxy will not simply bend to your will. There are forces at work that you cannot possibly comprehend. The Galactic Council may be gone, but the quest for power and dominance will continue, whether you like it or not." Aetherius, the Olverian ambassador, placed a placating hand on Psylocke's shoulder, his gaze level and unwavering. "That may be true, Xyloth, but the humans have shown us that there is another way, a path of cooperation, innovation, and mutual respect. The galaxy need not be ruled by the iron fist of a single, all-powerful alliance. Perhaps, in the wake of the Council's fall, we can forge a new order, one built on the principles of equality and shared prosperity." The other Council members, their once unshakable convictions now tempered by the harsh realities of defeat, nodded in grudging agreement. The humans, with their resilience and technological prowess, had forever changed the landscape of the galaxy, and the once dominant civilizations were now forced to adapt or risk being left behind. As the dust settled, and the human forces began the arduous task of rebuilding and establishing their presence in the cosmos, a new era dawned. The Galactic Council, a symbol of unyielding power and authority, had been brought low by the ingenuity and determination of the primitive human race. For Dr. Sinclair and his team, the victory was bittersweet. They had achieved their goal of proving the worth of humanity, but they knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. The galaxy they had fought to liberate was in flux, and the future held no guarantees. Yet, as they gazed out into the vast expanse of the cosmos, a glimmer of hope shone through. The humans had taken their rightful place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same.